Welcome to our intuitive conversations. I have with me today Kristen Valus, who's going to share some insights into numerology for the month, and Lucy, who both of these beautiful women are authors, and I've had the pleasure of working with them very closely. And so let's just start. I invite you to close your eyes if you're in a safe place to do so, and take a nice deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Just relaxing your body. Another breath in and out. And feeling the softness, the light come in as you take a third breath in and out. I'm opening up the portal of language now. I call on source, I call on oneness, I call on the benevolent beings of the highest light to support us, and I call on the frequency of language to open up the doorway to the portal of language for co-creation. I call on source, I call on oneness, I call on the benevolent beings of the highest light to support us, and I call on the frequency of language to open up the field of infinite intelligence for a stream of consciousness to flow through with ease, grace, and harmony. I call on source, I call on oneness, I call on the benevolent beings of the highest light to support us, and I call on the frequency of language to open up the doorway to the field of infinite intelligence for our stream of consciousness to flow through with ease, grace, and harmony. Take another deep breath in and out. And when you feel ready to open your eyes, I invite you to be in this space, this loving container where creativity flows through our words, whether they are spoken, written, their thoughts. All of these energies influence us. Our thoughts influence us. What we write, the words that we speak, write, feel, they all influence our creative energy and how we move about through our day and what we want to create in the future. So I invite you to jot down one thing that you'd like to create this month. And I will do the same. And how do you want to feel? And if at the end of this month you have achieved the desire that you have, what might be new for you? Give you another moment. And does anybody want to share? What was your intuitive hit for you?
Well, for me, it's getting married widow after 15 years. And I'll feel light, satisfied, completed, happy that it's out there to help others who need my words, and fulfilled.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I knew that would be yours, of course. We've been working on your book together for quite some time, and it's been such a beautiful experience connecting with you and connecting with your story. and the love that you've had with your husband for like 50 years. Like it's been a beautiful journey, and it's been challenging to navigate his brain injury. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. How about you, Kristen? And I loved all the
Um,
words you used to describe it. Kristen?
I want to start a Substack account and launch it. That's really something I've been focused on. I had to put it on hold again temporarily for something else I have to do first, but I'm hoping before the end of the month I will be able to start that. So
Beautiful. And how will you feel when you have done that?
elated. And, really the purpose of it, is to really get back out there and teach and reach more people. That's something that I got to do a little of in December, and it just felt so good to get back into it, with after everything being on hold for so long with my mom's illness and her death. So, and then everything that came after that. So last year was a big detour year for me. So now just coming out of that detour and back into where I wanted to be all along. So yeah,
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
yeah.
For myself, I wrote down a deeper connection to source to feel peaceful. And when I do that, I know that it will attract the right clients and the people who are ready to write in community with us and to help them to find the self the self truth, the self value through their words, through their written words, and to express those. So that's mine, and that will feel really peaceful. And I'll steal one of Lucy's words and say fulfilling, right? Because we've been at this, both of you have been in my community for pretty much the duration of the start of my company, and which was like January 2019, right? So it's been a while. Yeah, I know. What a journey we've been on.
A beautiful journey,
Yeah. Yeah, there's been
divinely timed.
divinely timed, yes. Right. And now, as I look forward into 2026, it'll be more about the writing than the publishing, right? Like I've really been focused on the publishing piece of it. But that's the people can self-publish. I can help them self-publish, easier um, for us, and to be able to outsource the pieces that are not my strengths and not my core mission of why I'm here, my purpose, right? So, and to really help people express themselves is basically what it's about, right? Yeah, yeah. So, well, hello. Up close and personal now.
Yeah.
Have a visitor.
Maxie. Yeah.
I don't, I've never seen Maxie this close.
No,
Not
that's
her,
because
not her
he
face
hears me
anyway.
talking. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. He's
Yeah, I'm more familiar with that side.
he's just getting comfortable. This
Yeah.
is our morning routine, so
Well, it's the beautiful energy, right? Oh, Kristen, would you like to share what you're feeling with the energy of the month?
Sure, I'd be happy to. And I'd love for this to be more of like a conversation style. So if you guys want to interject with, comments, questions, or whatever, please feel free to do that because I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I noticed now, I'm assuming you have some knowledge of numerology, but just in case you don't, last year was a 9 energy year, which completed a 9-year cycle. And we've moved into a 1 energy year, which is starting a brand new 9-year cycle. This is really significant. It's a bigger change than we've had from year to year in previous years because it is that start of a brand new cycle and you're jumping from the number 9 to the number 1. You're not jumping to the next number in a sequence. So it does feel a lot more like what's the word I'm looking for? Like discombobulating, right? To make that jump into that energy. And yet at the same time, there is a flow to it because it's not linear, it's circular. So, as we complete things in the nine energy year, which it happened for all of us, there were things on personal and grander scale, worldwide levels that were completing, coming to a close, leaving, being destroyed, dying out, however you want to put it, whatever your experience was. There was a lot of that going on, a lot of clearing, a lot of transformation happening, and those are all nine energy words. Um, that was clearing the way and creating space for the one to come in to bring in the new, which is what the one is all about, to help us to be, to have the space to be pioneers, to be innovative, to, really dive in and have new ideas of okay, now all of this is cleared, what are we going to replace it with? Because if we don't consciously, intentionally, which is another one word, choose what we want to put in the space that we've created in the past year, the universe will do it for us. And it will do it for us based on whatever our current vibrational frequency is, and it's just going to match that. So we have to be very conscious, very aware, which is another one energy word, very intentional about what we are creating, what we're thinking, what we're feeling, and what actions we're taking are all very important, more than ever before, because as we're continuing through this consciousness shift, we're becoming more aware of how important it is to be self-responsible in what we are creating. Instead of letting life happen to us, it's about creating the life that we want. And, this is a hard pill to swallow if you don't like the way your life is going right now. So, and you may have some awarenesses coming up right now, about things that still need to go, whether it's relationships, situations, jobs, things in your business, whatever it is that applies to you. There's a lot of health stuff coming up too, because one is a physical number. So, we're having lots of situations arise where we're having symptoms, going to get them checked out, and discovering that there's some kind of big health stuff. Maybe you need to have surgery, maybe you need to, whatever but there's some big stuff that you need to make big lifestyle changes to address what's going on with your body. If nothing else, stress reduction is going to be a big theme again this year. It has been for the past few years, and it's going to continue to be so even more than ever, because this year is really demanding that we take care of our physical bodies. And, it's so important because, we often take them for granted because we just have a body. We don't think about the fact that as a spiritual being, this body gives us an ability to be here on planet Earth in physical form and have certain experiences that we can't have outside of it. So, it's a gift that we have these bodies, and it's a short-term thing that we have these bodies. And how long or short-term that is going to depend on how well you take care of it. So, I feel like at least the people in this group who are listening to this message have some big work here that they want to do, that they want to accomplish, impact they want to create. You got to take care of your body in order to be able to do that. It can feel like a hassle. It certainly does to me sometimes, because I spend an inordinate amount of time taking care of my body every day because of previous health issues. And, to make sure that I'm continuing in the right direction instead of falling back, it takes a lot of effort for me, and I get tired, I get exhausted, but I also have to remember to honor my body and all that it's been through and all that it's done for me, and the fact that it is working as well as it is, given all of the circumstances that I've put it through, all of the health challenges I've had, all of that. So, it's pretty incredible how well it is working now, given everything. If you know my story at all, and if you don't, I invite you to contact me and I will share with you or point you to videos that can help you understand. But I've been through a lot and my body has suffered the wear and tear of all of that. And so, this year is really going to demand that we take care of our bodies. And if you haven't gotten any wake-up call or awareness about that already, I'd be surprised because I started feeling this stuff 2 months before we started this year. And it was like, oh, I've got to go to all these specialists. I've got to do, I did so many appointments in the last 2 months of the year because I realized I haven't been paying attention to my body as much as I need to. And, it's been tough. I mean, we went from that 8 energy year of insane momentum to the 9 with all of that transformation and clearing out. And now we're in the 1. And I'd love to tell you that it's going to slow down the pace, and it's not. It's going to be a different energy, but it's going to be very fast again and very scattered. And the reason for it, it's not the same as the 8, the momentum that we were in 2 years ago in 2024, where if you think back to that, I mean, you just felt like you could never stop or catch a breath, right? It was just one thing after another and a gazillion distractions and just so much coming at us all the time. Everybody says they want to be in momentum, but when you're in it for a year, you you think about it twice, right? You're like, well, maybe I don't want to be in momentum all the time. Um, and then we went into that 9, and I thought the 9 was going to be slower, and it did ebb and flow like I would expect the 9 to, but it still moved fast last year. And that was a surprise to me. I didn't quite expect that. So this year, is also going to move very quickly because time and space are collapsing. And that's really why we're experiencing this so intensely. The whole concept of time and space is collapsing through our expanded awareness, our expanded consciousness. So difficulty keeping appointments, being on time for things, feeling like you're in a constant war with time because you feel like you never have enough because everything's speeding up. Stop fighting it. Like this is the year when you have to learn how to navigate it differently, like navigate the concept of time differently. We have to have some constructs and have appointments and things so that we can do our daily lives, but at the same time, there's just going to be a learning curve of like I don't know how else to describe it except navigating it differently. I'm still learning this myself. So, but there is this intentionality that has to come through with how you spend your time, where you spend your time, and being very focused on what you want to give your energy to. I'm holding here a crystal. This is a rainbow fluorite, and it's kind of green and purple. I don't know how well you can see it in the camera, but this is really great for focus. This is a great stone to use this year to wear, keep in your pockets, anywhere that it's touching your body somehow, will help keep you a little focused. The reason the 1 feels so scattered, and even as a ruling 10, which is a 1, you would think I would be more aware of this, but I really wasn't until we got into this year. I'm like already learning so much more stuff about my own ruling number just by experiencing this year, and we're only a few weeks in. But it's like, this 1 energy it's almost like an ADHD experience, even though you don't have it, because you've got all these ideas just coming so fast. And even in your daily life, as you're walking through your home, doing your routines, you could be working on, let's say you're, doing your bathroom stuff in the morning or whatever, and get easily distracted by the closet that needs rearranging and start doing that before you finish doing your bathroom stuff. Has anyone done this already this year? I mean, oh my God. So it's been like, and then you're rearranging the closet, and all of a sudden you see a glass that needs to go to the kitchen, and all of a sudden you're in the kitchen doing stuff in there, and you've forgotten that you were in the closet, and you forgot that you were in the bathroom, and you've got everything. This is the one, right? It's just the ideas and the mental activity, it just keeps coming, 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 even though the one is a physical number, not a mental number. But there is that mental side to it because of all the ideas. So that's why we get into this kind of very scatteredness. It's very difficult to finish anything in a one. So we like to start things, it's all about the new. But then when it comes to finishing anything, you really have to be focused and disciplined. So a lot of those same characteristics that you need to navigate momentum, like we did in the eight, you need again in the one to navigate it, because there's so many distractions, but it's different than the eight, right? The distractions coming up in the eight are because you're in momentum, and it's, all this stuff is racing around and materializing and whatever. And the one, it's all these new ideas. So everybody is having all these new ideas. And that's why if you look around you and you look in the news and you look on social media and you look in your email, there's stuff coming at you from every direction, because everybody's having all these ideas that they want to try out, that they want to start, right? This is a year of experimentation, and yet do it with intention. Don't just do it to, don't throw spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. We could get away with that in past one energy years, but now with the level of consciousness we're at, and because of the responsibility we're starting to really um, kind of be forced to accept about our role as conscious creators, we can't really do that anymore. We have to know that, we're wanting that spaghetti to stick on the wall for a very specific reason. It's almost like, because we used to do that because we didn't realize that we could consciously create what we want, right? So let's just see what works. Throw something here, throw something there, and see what works. Well, now it's like, no, we get to make it work. We're conscious creators. We get to make it work. So we have to be very intentional about what we're laying down, what we're intending, what we're consciously creating, what we're thinking, what we're speaking, what we're feeling, because that's what we're creating from, whether we pay attention to it or not. So I highly recommend you pay attention. Yeah. So I'm just going to take a breath there and see if anyone has anything they want to share about what they've been experiencing so far along those lines, or questions or whatever.
Well, I've recognized that when you were talking about how the nine energy, and particularly last year, was a mental year. And I feel like I've been in this nine energy for like 3 decades now, right? Because if you don't remember my chart, my seasons were 3 seasons of nine, which is
Oh.
all like 27 years of becoming aware of what I needed to let go of, but
Oh, God.
I was unaware of that. So I just kept repeating cycles and energies. And so last year, being aware of it was a completion of another cycle of nine, and being a nine energy year, I was very aware of letting go and the struggle with that last year, and being, and knowing that coming into the one energy. You and I have talked about this, Kristen, that it's not like all of a sudden on January the 1st, we're in one energy and we're starting new and everything has been let go of. There is there will continue to be the letting go of old patterns that no longer serve us, belief systems, things like that. I feel like I'm an infant when it comes to this work.
Mhm.
And even though
Mhm.
I've been doing it for a really long time, there's an amplification of it now.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, absolutely. And you were saying about, the we're still going to continue to let go. That's 100% correct, because we've landed into new awareness, which is the one. And with that awareness comes more understanding of what's not been working and what might work if we give it a try. And, we'll be letting go, especially relationships this year, I think are going to be a big theme again.
Mm.
So, really looking at those relationships that drain you, that are toxic, anything that maybe you resisted letting go of in the nine, you may just not be able to do that anymore this year. You might just choose. And the thing is that if you are willing to face those fears about releasing those relationships or setting firmer boundaries within those relationships, and maybe they're not ending completely, but they are completely transforming the way that they're going to look for you, based on new boundaries you set for yourself, and the boundaries are for you and the boundaries are yours to maintain. They're not about the other person, right? So they impact the other person and how you relate to them, but they're your responsibility. And, this is a big theme with this year too, I believe that we will see this. And it's interesting because normally we would think of a two as a relationship year. But with all this awareness coming in, and there's a lot going on with Venus this year, which rules relationships, and there's a Venus retrograde this year, I think that this is going to be a big theme this year. Absolutely. And as you gain more awareness, you're naturally going to go, oh, like no, there was a big shift, like a light switch for me when New Year's Eve is when it hit, really. Is I felt that big shift from the nine to the one, in that, all of a sudden I felt like I was coming out of the Neptune fog that we have at
Mm.
the end of the year, the Neptune season, into Mercury. So I felt that shift very dramatically this year. And I think it's because it was more dramatic because it's a one energy year. Any other year you're coming into, you're not getting whacked on the head with that awareness right out of the gate, even though Mercury does bring that. But I think the combination of the two was like, whoa, okay, there we go. Yeah, so yeah, definitely a lot more letting go, especially the first half of the year. I think they'll still be, and to that effect, a lot more people left the planet last year, being a nine energy year, than on average. And I do think that, especially in the first half of this year, that trend will continue for that same reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can expect that. I lost my mom last year, for those of you who don't know. A lot of people lost family members. A lot of people had deaths in with friends, family, extended relations, whatever. Um, just a lot of people chose to leave the planet. They were done.
Mm-hmm.
They were done with that 9-year cycle. They didn't want to do a new
Mm-hmm.
cycle. They were done, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And, there may be more people choosing to do that, especially in the first half of this year as well. So, because we are setting ourselves up for that new 9-year cycle. So, what we do this year isn't just impacting um, our lives for this year, it's impacting our lives for the next 9-year cycle. No pressure.
Yeah.
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 Lucy, did you have anything you wanted to share at this point?
Yeah. For me, it's I've been getting the little nudges, which is how um, I become aware of them. First, they're very quiet, like decluttering, simplify, and that just becoming louder and louder and louder. And that's to let go of things. I mean, physical things, mental things, online things. Um, I'm finding that um, people like podcasts I used to listen to no longer interest me. And that sort of surprised me because, they would consume every morning, for the news and this and that. And it's like, no, not interested. Not interested in anything that's longer than, typically half an hour or an hour. If I choose to go there, I find that I'm not making as many appointments because I just don't want to be pinned to a specific date and time. I want to be more free ranging. So that's the time space thing, I assume. And along with all of the decluttering, with all that wonderful stuff I learned about divine timing and the needle jumping into my sewing machine to break it when I was doing the quilts. Yes.
Right.
Whenever I start fixating on I have to get those last two quilts done, then I remember all of that. So I put that aside and draw upon that as, yes, it'll happen when it happens, when I'm ready. And the new idea that really is floating to the surface for me for me is because I used to be a programmer. I like going under the covers and everything on things and seeing how things work. I am going to learn how to put Married Widow into ebook format. And so I'll have that skill. And I'm really looking forward to that because I haven't been looking forward to doing any new learning or anything. But when I got back into InDesign, even though I had forgotten so much about it, it was, oh, I really like this stuff. And that was just a very surprising twist of, okay, this is old, but it's new in a new format. And it's exciting, right? I haven't really been excited about stuff. I've just been really happy to be finished. So it's really nice to have that little thing on the horizon.
And for
I love that.
those of you who don't know, InDesign is the platform in Adobe that we use to lay out books.
Mm-hmm.
Lucy
Yep.
is that when she did indexing for however many years, 500 books, I think you told me last little while.
Yeah, for 20 years over the spread for that one client, because I've done like over 1,000 books in indexing. And I always like doing what we call embedded indexing, where you index right in the books, like in InDesign. So
Yeah, so we've been working together in InDesign to lay out Married Widow, and that's completion. Like there's a completion happening, so we're looking to publish it at the end of January, and and so the other thing that I'd like to sort of shift to, if I may, is the energy of January, which is the two.
Mhm.
About unity and our relationship. So, Kristen, do you want to talk about that?
Sure.
yeah.
And I did want to just touch base too, and this is related to January as well. Right now in this month, and just up until Saturn moves back into Aries, we're completing things that we were working on last summer. So May, June kind of time period. So if you think back to then, if you started any projects, now would be a great time to finish them. And I'm speaking to myself too, because I have an unfinished project from that time. And um, I'm not sure how I'm going to pull that off, but I would really like to. It would be a big deal to finish it. But there is um, there is in this two energy. So normally we think about the two energy as connections, collaborations, communication, all of that. And there is that element of that this month. But mostly the focus for the two this month is learning to trust yourself and your intuition.
Mm.
The two is a highly intuitive number, but its biggest challenge is trusting itself. It's also in its lower expression, very codependent. So if you think of codependency, you know, someone who's codependent is always going to look outside themselves for the answers.
Mm-hmm.
And the higher side of the two is about trusting yourself to know and to trust your own intuition. And, this is the way of 2026 is really about intuitively led action steps. And I shared a little bit about this in our conversation last week, our pre-conversation, which was also really fun. That, I noticed this on Christmas Eve. I normally spend Christmas Eve meditating the new year in, and at about 4:30 in the afternoon, I got this intuitive hit to go across the street to the shopping center that I live near. And I wasn't even sure what stores I was going in. I just knew I needed to get things for the home because I moved earlier in the fall and there were still a lot of things that I needed. And so I went over there, and as I was driving in the parking lot, my intuition led me to a store I've never been in before. So I went in there and I found a bunch of cute things that I needed for really great prices. And then I went to another store and went in there, and I didn't even know why I was going in there. And I found a couple things there that I needed. So, and everything I bought, I loved. I brought them home right away, took them out of the bags, cut the tags off, put them up. It was perfect, right? Like, and I did all of that in under an hour because the stores closed
Wow.
at 6 by the time I got there, right? So I did all that in an hour, and I bought like probably 6 or 7 different things.
Hmm.
And that it just went because I followed my intuition, and I just like walked into the store, and literally like my body knew where to walk and where to go to find things, even though that one store I had never even been in before. The other store I've been in before, but I didn't know why I was in there that night. So I didn't know which way to walk, right? But somehow I was just guided, and I did it boom, 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 really fast, no line at the cash register, in and out, right? It was just, that's how this energy is asking us to operate going forward. So, this new 9 year cycle, and this year in particular, we're going to be practicing with this even more, is following those intuitive nudges every step of the way. Like, even if, it almost felt like I was sleepwalking. Like, I don't know how else to describe it, but it was like I just knew that I needed to do this, that I needed to turn that way, that I needed to park in this spot, that I needed to go in that store. But there was no uh, what's the word I'm looking for? The thinking ahead about it.
The premonition or
Premeditation. There was no premeditation to it, right? I just did it. I
yeah.
just followed the flow of what was happening in the moment. And it was really cool. Like, that's to me living in fifth dimensional frequency when you can do that. So the more you can step into that and let that guide you, and not let your ego resist you, or not let any of the distractions distract you, that's going to be really tricky. You probably already know that this year if we talked about that earlier. So that's the key, is, that creating that hyper focus on what am I being intuitively led to do, feeling it in your body. That 2 energy for January is an emotional number. So, twos intuit, but they intuit emotionally. They feel it, right? So you feel it in your body, you feel it in your heart. This is how you navigate this energy. And this is how we are being asked to navigate going forward. So the more you can practice with this, even if you just make it a game and go, okay, for the next hour, I'm just going to listen to my body and listen to my heart and my intuition coming through there. One of the biggest challenges with listening to your intuition, and especially I would say in a 1 energy year, is, how do you discern whether it's your intuition or your ego? Right? And the 2 is coming in, starting the year off for us saying, because you also feel it.
Right. And I
It's not just mental, right? That's the difference between intuition and ego. Ego, you don't feel,
Right.
or you feel it, but you feel it as fear, right?
yeah, yeah.
Intuition is going to feel good. If you feel good, you're going the right way. The other thing you can watch for are the signs and synchronicities that are coming through with the numbers. And this is why I love the numbers so much, because they're speaking to us all the time. So you see those triple and quadruple digits of 1111, you see 444, 222, whatever. Notice those, because when you're seeing those numbers, notice what you're doing or thinking about doing at that time. That means you're in the right direction. You will get confirmation if you want to be aware of it. So this awareness piece of the 1 is so huge, and it's really helping us navigate. If you're one of those people who's very indecisive, hello me, you can really benefit from paying attention to these signs, because the numbers will guide you. They'll tell you, and you can ask. You can ask the numbers for help. You can ask them to communicate with you. You can ask them to give you signs. Your odometer, your speedometer, your license plates in the car in front of you, like, you will see numbers on your receipts. You'll see they come through everywhere. We use numbers all the time. So, let them guide you. Ask for that help and let them guide you and be open to that guidance. I think that's one of the coolest things about numbers because they're there all the time, but it's no accident how they show up in what sequence and everything. Every time I buy something at the grocery store, I look at my total on my receipt to see what the numbers are telling me, right? They're always speaking to you. So,
Yeah, I just want to go back to your New or your Christmas Eve because the same thing happened to me where there was one more gift that I wanted to that I knew my granddaughter would love. And so it was like three, I was to be at my son's place by 4 o'clock. So it was like 3:15. And I drive to the mall that is jam-packed with people, Christmas Eve shoppers. And I knew what store it was. So I went directly over to that side of the mall, found a spot right away, went into the store. There was only two other people in there, went to the back. It was still there, the gift I wanted to get. I picked it up. I went and stood in line. There was only one person in front of me, and I was in and out, and I was early to my son's place. And
see, I love that.
I had left time,
Yeah.
right, to be able to,
Yeah.
knowing that I'm going to the mall on Christmas Eve, which I don't know that I've ever done that before. And so, yeah, but it was really just this intuitive hit that I got that just stop in. It'll be quick, right? And
Hmm.
it was, and it was, I knew exactly what I wanted to get in and out fast. And so this time space continuum that we're in right now is really fascinating, right? It's like
Yeah.
I think we have more time to do everything and it takes longer. And we know this in working with books, right? That we think
Mm.
it's going to take a certain amount of time, and it's like, oh, we know
Yeah.
that it's going to take much longer. Yeah. So it's just so fascinating, and the repeating numbers are there all the time when we just stop. And for me, the repeating numbers, it doesn't matter what the numbers are, it's awareness of the moment and bringing myself back into presence. And
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
then whatever the numbers are, it's like, oh, there's a meaning there as well, but it just is really bringing me to be present. And I think that that's really one of my things to be really aware of is to be present right now.
Hmm. Absolutely. And the one is the one, right? There's no separation. The one is reminding us that there's no separation, there's no duality. That's all an illusion. And we have the two energy this month showing us that duality and where it's all one. There's no separation, right? And I've really been experiencing this with my family, with everything that we've been through this year, the the duality, the separation, the belief in separation, and the belief in lack and all of these things
Mhm.
that separate us from the one, the whole, has become so pronounced in my relationship with them, right? And just
Mhm.
observing their behavior and even my own, and really getting to see where we're still believing so deeply in that separation. Right. And there's going to be a lot of awareness coming in this year. There's going to be a lot more people waking up spiritually or expanding their consciousness more than ever because of this one energy coming in and reminding us that we're not separate. We are all one. And it's not just a slogan. It's not, just it's, it just is, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just is.
Yeah.
And but one of the other things, since we are talking to a group of writers, the one is about writing and speaking, right? So this is a really big year for a writer to make some big headway, and in their career, in their work, in being recognized for their work, because the one is about recognition as well. So get out there, promote your work, write, speak, if you will, do what you can to promote yourself because you can do very well in this kind of energy. This is the energy that's waiting to hear your voice in whatever way that you choose to share it. And I think that for this group in particular, it's really important to understand that because you are setting the tone for your next 9 years as a writer,
Yes.
and how do you want to do that? Do you want to procrastinate and, hide out, and be the recluse writer, or do you want to be out there and recognized and known and get your work out there? I mean, why do we write? And everybody has a different reason for writing. And if yours is just for your own personal, reasons or whatever, and you don't really want to create an impact, that's okay. Then you can be the isolated recluse, which is the lower expression of the one, but, and the procrastinator, lower expression of the one. But if you really want to create an impact with your work, if the reason you're doing it, or at least part of the reason, is to help change other people's lives, this is a great year to do that. This is a
Yeah.
really great year to get your writing out there and make progress and finish that book. I know it's hard to finish things in a one because you
Mhm.
keep going off in different directions. It will take a lot of focus, a lot of discipline. And, for anyone who's not in this group, if you're hearing a message from this or a snippet from this container, this sacred writing container, is a great way to keep your focus. It works really well for me.
Mhm.
And you guys are nodding your heads too in
Mhm.
agreement because you meet once a day, 4 times a week, and it's like, okay, that's my time when I'm definitely going to write. You can write outside those times too, but you're always going to write during that time. And so it keeps you focused, it keeps you committed, and the energy of the space of the container helps those ideas come through and flow through more easily as well, more intuitively, more connected with the one. And it really, if you're stopping in the middle of your day, because for me, most of the meetings happen at lunchtime, and because I'm on the East Coast, that really helps me bring myself back to my spiritual center in the middle of a busy
Mhm.
day, which I love, and it's so important that we're connected with our center, we're centered, we're grounded in the remembrance of who we are spiritually and our connection with the one, that we are part of it, that we're not separate, in order to let those ideas and words flow. And so I really feel like this is such a great space. There's other spaces you can go to too. You can create one of your own. You don't have to come here, but I really love this space. I cherish it and I'm grateful for it. And I really think that the way that you Pamela, hold space, and create that space and that container is really, like you said, sacred writing. It's what it's called, right? And there's a reason for that. And I think that for me, like, I would be insane this year not to continue participating in this with the way the energy is so scattered and all the distractions. Like, we need places like this to come. And so thank you for creating it and for continuing to hold that space and making that place for writers to come so that we don't lose our focus, especially in such an important year when we really could make big strides in our work. So, if you were thinking about writing a book, or you've got your next book, Lucy, that you've already got, on the back burner, what you're going to do, like, I would say don't forget to take time to celebrate the book that you're finishing
Yeah.
and promote it and all of that. But also, don't take too much time off before you're writing again,
Yeah,
you know?
I'm gonna have to remember that. Thank you.
You can do both.
Yeah.
But to that end, I wouldn't focus on more than one or two things at a time, big projects,
Yeah.
because the distraction level again, and needing to stay focused, blinders on, is going to be another big thing this year. You don't want to scatter your energy too much because then your intention is lost.
Mhm.
The energy of the intention is lost, and you won't create as much forward movement as you would like. So, I think those things are important. The other thing to understand from an astrological perspective is every planet, I think every planet, and even like the other astrological pieces like Black Moon, Lilith, and stuff, everything's changing signs this year, at least once. So that's not always the case. And that means there's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of shifts. The other thing that's really unique about this year is not that we have four eclipses, that's normal, we usually do, but they're all in different elements. So we've got air, fire, water, and earth all covered in the eclipses. That's unusual. Usually they come in pairs of opposite signs, and that's not the case this year either. So it's going to be a very weird type of eclipse season when we have both eclipse seasons, because usually it's more of a clear, okay, this is the focus for me based on my chart season, right? This is the focus for the collective based on, this time it's going to be pretty interesting to see how it works because it's been a very long time since we've experienced anything like this, and it's unusual when it happens. So it's going to be very interesting, and I think it's going to make eclipse season a little more um, rocky than usual, and they're already pretty big energies. So if you felt like you were getting the rhythm of what an eclipse season does and how to prepare for it and how to use the eclipse window, doorway, whatever, in between the eclipses and all of that, still try and apply that, but know that you have to be flexible. And that's another one energy year term, flexibility, right? The more flexible you can be, the better off you will be. If I haven't mentioned it already, saying yes is another big thing in a one energy year. So be willing and open to be willing and open to new things. Like I walked into that new store I'd never been in. It was not a new store, it was new to me. And even since then, I've purchased things from several stores that I've never shopped at before, and I've really enjoyed the results. So, be willing to try new stuff. If you're staying in your old routines, your old habits, your old whatever, it keeps you stuck. It keeps you trapped. You need to try new things this year all the time, not just like one new thing and okay, check it off. I'm done for the year. No, you have to be trying new things all the time. And like I said, they can be simple new things. Try a new restaurant, try a new store, try a new thing in your business if you have a business. Try a new thing with your children if you have children. Just try something new. And try and keep that like that, if I learned something new today, then it's been a good day. Like that kind of idea in your head of like, what can I do today that's new to me? Even if it's just a new route to work or, something to change it up. Because when you do that, that's when you unlock prosperity. That's when you unlock miracles. That's when you unlock the space for the universe to bring something in that might not have been able to come in because you were so like um, stuck in your rut, right? As soon as you start changing things up, the universe can move more, right? You give it
Can
more
I,
space.
yeah, can I provide an experience I had during Dean's um, convalescence or whatever we call it, recovery. Um, and it was an eye opener. It was a miracle, I consider it. And one of my love letters to Dean was about the miracle. And it was when I was in desperation and I wasn't in my head anymore. I was just flailing about because he was at his worst behavior then. And I had nobody, the the doctors from his original rehab unit weren't available. Nobody was available. And I didn't know what to do. And I just started calling around to not, senior centers and, any lead that I would have. And in this one place, and this is what got me to him going to that behavioral unit that really tried. I called them. I was desperate. I mean, I just let it all out. And I wasn't thinking in my head. I was talking straight from my heart on how desperate I was. I was at my lowest point and everything. And I was talking about how I wanted him to get some inpatient care, and I didn't know what to do. And this lady that was on the phone said, "Wow, this is really something, because just last week, the social worker from the behavioral unit at the hospital that I wanted him to go to just came over to work with us. I'm going to go get her." And she started talking and everything. And then she contacted the doctor that eventually started working with him. And he was very hard to get hold of because I had already tried and he was just so booked up and everything. And it was a case of one domino after the other, and Dean got admitted like the next day. And all because I was so desperate. And it was a miracle. There was no way that I could have planned that out or anything. I was just desperation, open out there, sending my signal out, and back it came. It was
beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that, Lucy. And, you know, it was all because you were, and maybe it came out of desperation, but you were willing to try anything new.
Really? Yes, exactly.
And that's the point. And hopefully you won't have to do that from a place of desperation this year.
Right.
But, you know, just by being willing to try new things and be open to new things or exploring new things will bring great rewards, just like you had that experience,
Yeah.
Lucy. And I want to end on this, and I would invite you to think back to 2017, the last time we were in a one energy year. I reviewed my 2017, and you know, that was the year that I had been chronically ill for a couple of years already and had been completely disabled and unable to work. And I kept getting more and more diagnoses, really bad diagnoses like MS and RA, and things that would keep me crippled for life and in horrible pain for life and in a wheelchair and all of this stuff. And I remember after getting those last two really bad diagnoses, and it was about July of that year, that was one energy year, and I said, I'm not doing this. I am too young. I'm not going to do this. I'm not accepting this prognosis. I'm going to find a way to heal myself. If the doctors can't help me, I'm going to find a way. And so I set that intention. I put that out there. I was in different Facebook groups for, you know, holistic health and things like that, but nothing specifically focused on my conditions. And you know, I was in one of the groups that was a juicing group or something, and somebody was talking about this book and how great it was and everything. And it led me to the information that I then applied that helped me bring my body back to a place where I could function again and then come out of pain and then really start to heal and gain strength back and all of this stuff. And I've been doing this for the past 9 years. And, you know, at the end of last year, I was looking at things and, you know, like I said, I was going to all those specialists, and I realized that, you know, my protocols had slipped dramatically because of caretaking for my parents and all of the things going on in my life. And I was still doing a lot of it, but there was one key element that I had dropped. And I realized I need to bring that back in. That was making more of a difference than I realized. So, but you look back at that one energy year and what was going on in that year that you carried with you for that next 9 years, and what did you decide last year to bring forward with you that was working? For me, it was that protocol that I dropped, right? I realized, wow, that was actually working when I was doing it consistently. And what did you leave behind? I'm not doing chronic illness anymore. That's like, no, I'm not creating that anymore. That's my intention is not to go there anymore, you know? And so that is, you know, a big thing to decide right now. Look back on that and see what were you getting into then, and then what did you do those next 9 years, and what are you actually rolling forward with you that's still working, and what are you not rolling forward with you that didn't work for you, you know? And that's where I think you can gain a lot of perspective on getting this year off to a right start, you know? And I spent a lot of time in the end of December journaling, creating lists, creating intentions, um, of what I wanted for myself, not for just only for this year, but the next 9 years, personally, professionally. I made different lists so that I would have very clear intentions, you know, and revisit those lists often so that you can keep your focus on what you're wanting to create. And, you know, that's what you move forward with you throughout the year and throughout the next 9 year cycle. You'll get plenty of opportunities to course correct, to make changes, to, you know, whatever. But the basis of your intention is still there. It's still written, you know, and that's the key for this year.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of your wisdom, Kristen, and for sharing, Lucy, your stories as well. And thank you for the beautiful testimonial for the sacred writing sessions. They are profound. I appreciate that. And I also hope
And I didn't get paid for that, by the way. That was from the heart.
Thank you. But I hope that you will keep us abreast with what is happening energetically as we move forward, and especially with the eclipses to learn more about those. Visit Kristen, and I don't know if you're planning on sharing those on your new Substack. That would be right. But one of the things that just came through for me was I need a new journal because my son usually buys me a journal for Christmas, but he bought me two books. And so I need to go get my own journal, and I haven't yet. But for me to do this work at the beginning of my journal so that it's there, so I'm not looking for the information, but to have what is it that I want to create over the next 9 years. I think that's a beautiful exercise for all of us. And what am I releasing, and all, you know, all the questions that you asked or the suggestions that you made. So thank you so very much. And I look forward to our next conversation, wherever that will be. Next week will be our open mic session, so people can bring a story that they want to share. I just finished doing open mic live in town last night, and it was really amazing to share my story and then to see the piece that I really want to focus on, and the energy that that brings forward and opens up for other people. So thank you so much. I appreciate both of you. We're going to sign off now, and we'll see you in our community. Thank you.
Thanks for having me and asking me to share. I appreciate the opportunity.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing. I really enjoyed it. Very
Thanks for
informative.
being here.
Thank you. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.